Now, a Herefordshire firm says the government's decision to cut funding for people who install solar panels could cost jobs and wreck dozens of local businesses. Green energy has been a growing industry in Herefordshire, and 2 weeks ago, dozens of companies took part in Herefordshire Energy Week. Yesterday, the government announced that the payments made by energy companies to people with solar panels on their homes are to be slashed by more than half. The feed-in tariff scheme was designed to kickstart a solar industry in the UK, but now many firms say the change of heart will leave them with uncertain futures. Our reporter Julie Tyler is with one such firm this morning. Jules?
Yes, I'm in the farmyard here at Caplor Energy, Caplor Farm. This farm diversified about 3 years ago. It's a huge farm, covers 700 acres in glorious southwest Herefordshire. But Gareth Williams, just about 3 years ago, decided he'd start up Caplor Energy, created up to date about 30 new jobs in the last couple of years, and they've successfully fitted solar panels to local homes and businesses. It's sort of spread across the county and regionally now. Across the country, of course, some 25,000 jobs have been created by similar companies, despite the gloomy economic outlook. Now, let's start with Jamie from the firm. Is this news has come as a bit of a shock, Jamie?
That's right, it has come as a shock. We're all for a feed-in tariff review, and we actually think the feed-in tariff, which is the incentive that the government are offering to things like the solar installations that we're installing, should be reviewed. But what we're seeing a more than 50% cut of that feed-in tariff, and we've only got 6 weeks to respond to that change. And that's simply not enough time to allow us and other companies around the country to adapt to that. We've really become a victim of our own success here, and I believe that, and our company believes, that the Department for Energy and Climate Change, which have proposed these changes, is simply panicking at the level of uptake of renewables. What we really should be doing is supporting this industry in a sustainable way, and what we're actually seeing is the industry being hit for six.
Perhaps haven't thought through the shock effect it's going to have on people instantly, because we're talking by December. Just explain to the listeners who don't understand what a feed-in tariff is.
So the feed-in tariff is an incentive that is paid to a household or business for every unit of electricity they generate from an on-site renewable technology like a solar PV system. So as a consumer, you get money for generating electricity, whether you use that yourself or not, and that's what we're seeing. We're seeing that cut, and essentially it's been used to kickstart the industry into becoming an industry, creating, as you say, 25,000 jobs, and unfortunately all of that is at jeopardy because just a year and a half down the line, we're seeing that being taken away.
Let's bring Gareth Williams in, the owner, the man who started this all up 3 years ago. Are you feeling very concerned about this, Gareth? Obviously, you've invested hundreds of thousands of pounds here.
Yes, we've invested considerable money and time to try and make this work, and it's something that the government have said repeatedly is massively important to us internationally. You know, hardly anyone is now not thinking that climate change issues are hugely important. We have energy security issues. Energy subsidies into the fossil fuel industry is massive, and it makes the sort of money we're talking about here look absolutely tiny. And as Jamie says, yes, maybe we're panicking because we've done 100,000 systems, yet just in Europe, you know, our level of systems here in the UK represent only 3% of what's going on in Germany. It's a tiny amount, yet the government have said they want to support an industry which is world leading.
Why should they support people like me? If I've got an average size house, I want to put solar panels on it. You say, what, it costs me about £1,400 in terms of what they're going to give me back with the feed-in tariff. That's going to be halved, so I'm £700 worse off. Why should the government subsidise me?
Well, the government should subsidise you because I think it was only literally yesterday Greg Barker supported something like £1 billion worth of investment into the Big Six, and we all know how much money they're making. It was announced that something like £175 increase has been put on bills just in the last few months by the Big Six energy companies, whereas this type of technology is possibly going to cost maybe £25 in 2020. It's an absolute tiny amount of money, but everyone in the world, seemingly apart from our Green government, is accepting that climate change issues are absolutely massive, and they're also saying that we have energy security issues. You know,
so I need to be seen to be green. I need an incentive to do that, and that incentive is going to be slashed. Maybe they should have phased it in gradually, Jamie. Is that what you're saying?
Well, that's what we and the industry have been calling for since last spring. We actually, the Renewable Energy Association, said at the time that the government needed to look at the feed-in tariff for residential domestic properties, and they didn't. And now what we're left with, instead of the step changes, we're now left with a cliff that many companies are going to fall over.
OK, you're lobbying local MPs, but obviously you're concerned this is going to wreck your business.
I think it's going to have catastrophic effects on a lot of businesses, but my bigger concern is, yes, we're going to have a problem, and the whole world has an economy problem, but this is something we have much bigger issues to face than the short-term financial amounts of money we're talking about to support this industry.
OK, well, watch this space, Howard and Tony, because, we have got a business here that has invested hundreds of thousands and could lose out dramatically.
Julie Tyler on the case.